Joining us on our panel here this morning, we're going to get back to our CrossFit theme of the day. We're going to get back to our conversation. It's been happening during commercial breaks, and on our panel this morning is Heather Crippen, who is a CrossFit coach at CrossFit 403. We also have Emily Abbott, who is a CrossFit athlete as well as a coach at Sonalta. Kim Wagner Jones, who's a registered dietitian with the Running Injury Clinic. We also have Mike Walper here on the end, who's a physiotherapist at the Running Injury Clinic, and then Keith Loach, who's the co-owner and a coach at Integrity Performance at CrossFit. Everyone has a little bit to do with sports here and CrossFit, as we've been continuing our conversation, and I just want to read a tweet here that we were kind of discussing over the break. This one comes in from Jonathan Chang. He says, "What are you doing about the issue of people who talk about CrossFit? I can't stop talking about it. I don't care if you're fed up." Issue. Is there something we're doing about that issue? But to us, or to the panel here, it's not an issue, is it?
No, I'll start on this. I explain this to a lot of people. They say, well, how come everyone talks about CrossFit? And the way I see it is, it could be CrossFit, it could be running, it could be mothers with new babies, grandparents with grandchildren. When you have something come into your life that's extremely, extremely special and makes you extremely happy, it's human nature to want to talk about it. And CrossFit, for a lot of people, has been the way they have found fitness. And it's, for a lot of people, it's the first time they've decided to get in shape, and they see the positive changes in their life, and they want to tell the world about it. They look what I've found, look at the difference it's made for me, and that's why they talk about it. It's not something specifically to do with CrossFit. It could be any topic in life.
We pay them to talk about it.
Yeah, and we pay them. Yeah, it's a good money source.
Heather, you found this as well. People who are into it, they talk about it, they love it.
Yeah, I mean, and it is what he said. It makes you feel good, right? So why wouldn't you talk about it? It's like when I first had my first child, all I did was talk about my baby. So, I mean, when people find joy and they find something that makes them happy, of course they want to talk about it and share it. And, you know, I mean, maybe I didn't want my friends to go out and have babies. Maybe I did. But, you know, like you want people to join you. And, you know, when something makes you feel so good, you want to share it. So I think that's really what it comes down to. People are seeing, like, showing how much strength they have now, and especially in women, you know, like, some women come in when they first start, they can barely even lift 50 pounds off the floor, and then all of a sudden they're deadlifting a year later, you know, 200 pounds. Like, that's something to scream about and be proud about, rather than, you know, the other things that women seem to sometimes talk about, right? So that's a pretty cool thing to watch women grow like that. So.
And one of the issues with CrossFit, and we've had a few people tweet at us today, just when we were talking about on Twitter doing this show, is there's a lot of injuries when it comes, or at least there is perception out there that there are a lot of injuries when it comes to CrossFit. So, Mike, maybe you can touch on this a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe address the issues when it comes to CrossFit and injuries, and maybe what the stereotypes are.
I think the first thing that people have to remember is that CrossFit's relatively new. So anytime you get, you know, I think there's more than 3,000 or 4,000 gyms now in the world. Think about all those people at all those different gyms. People are going to hear about this change. There's a change in the way fitness is being perceived right now. So that's the first thing, is that you're just going to hear about these injuries in this sport, because it's a new sport. But there's injuries happening in every sport. You know, you talk about a marathon runner or an ultra marathon runner or a triathlete. You know, it's pretty extreme stuff, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of perception that CrossFit's really extreme. But hey, anybody that goes out and runs 100 miles or 50 miles, you know, that's a very select, small group of the population that enjoys doing that. Everybody loves running, though. I think the most important thing that people need to remember is that there's a mentality and a habit to preventing injuries. There's a mentality that you have to do the work that needs to be done to improve your strength, your flexibility, and your endurance. And there's stepping stones you have to do to get to a point where you're meeting all those different things. But then there's the habit of integrating that into your life. And so at the classes, I know that it's a really structured format, and everyone takes the time to do a warm-up. Yep. They do a WOD or a workout of the day, and then usually they'll do a cool down or a stretch after. And I don't see very many sports or activities where they take the time to, you know, in a 60-minute block, spend 20 minutes or a third of that time on self-care and self-management. So I think they do a good job, and that the onus has to go on the person a little bit.
Yeah. And somebody also tweeted us, with CrossFit often, maybe somebody can explain timed workouts. So we do a lot of timed workouts in CrossFit.
Yeah, and that's just a way to, you know,
I would say create the most like efficient workout, right? Instead of going and wasting 2 hours at the gym, like kind of on the treadmill, elliptical, do a few bicep curls. Now we're doing measurable fitness, and so you can actually track your progress.
Right.
So when we have, your workout can range anywhere from 2 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the watt of the day.
And you can go back, right, and do that same workout again maybe 6 months down the road, and you can see how you've increased. Has my speed increased? Has my weight increased? You know, maybe you were doing something, a modified movement 6 months ago, but maybe now, like 6 months later, you can do, maybe you're doing pull-ups now, you know, so it's, that timing makes it a measurable way to see your fitness and strength increase.
It also makes people accountable for intensity.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, as was stated, you can go to a gym and do bicep curls in the mirror for 2 hours, but where's your intensity levels and what kind of response is that going to produce in the body? If you have a clock where you have to do a desired amount of work in 15 minutes, you know, you are accountable to that clock, and your intensity level automatically goes up, therefore producing a better workout, better result.
And so Crackmax tweeted us and asked, what is being done to stop the time before form issue, or is anything being done?
Well, I know at our gym, right on our whiteboard when you walk in, we have a slogan that says, for quality first, for time second. The clock isn't everything. You can know that. I mean, if quality of movement is sacrificed, we shut the clock off. I mean, it's we have to maintain integrity of movement and keeping people safe. And so the clock isn't everything. It's only there to make sure that you're accountable to yourself. But it's not the say on be all.
But like I said, it's a 50-50 split too, right? So the coaches are going to take the time to let someone know that, you know, you need to improve in this technique or do this a different way so you don't get hurt, but there's an onus on the person too. So if you haven't been doing something and this is new to you, go ask the coaches on how to do it, ask for advice, and scale back the weight or scale back how fast you're doing it, because nobody's going to make you do it. You're doing it for yourself, and you have to look at why you're doing something and then approach it. It's a lifelong thing. We don't do CrossFit for a year and then finish CrossFit and that's it. I want to do this for 20 years. I want to do this for 30 years, so I got to plan for that.
I find that the biggest struggle as a coach is managing personalities and saying, hey, you need to take off weight, saying it in the nicest way, you know, because like I said, our goal is to make people feel good. And so trying to manage those personalities and kind of figure out the best workout for that individual person is definitely a challenge with CrossFit. But I think,
Ego.
The ego has to, and that's the great thing about CrossFit, it's incredibly humbling.
It's like the elephant in the room. When they walk in the door.
We do the same thing at my gym too. It's, you have to, listen, this is, your form is going away. We need to scale back the weight to get that form back, or take a break. Slow down, take a breath.
Don't look at the clock.
It's not about the time, it's about how can you get through this in a safe and efficient way, right?
The cool thing is the standard's not here. I'm standing next to a 70-year-old in some of my workouts. I might be lifting 300 or 400 pounds. He might be lifting 70 pounds, and I'll look to him, and it's like right on, man. You know, he's pushing himself, his own physical capabilities, and he's aspiring for a certain level of fitness, and I'm doing the same. We're just motivating each other, and you know, we can bounce ideas off each other. Our struggles are still the same. We're just at different places.
You're fighting the same battle, right?
Exactly.
So what are some things that CrossFit athletes can do to prevent injuries besides just at the gym? Are there other things that they should be aware of?
You know, I think that the most important thing that any CrossFit athlete can do is just ask questions. When you walk into a box, you'd be surprised at how many people there have a lot of knowledge in what they do. So there's a lot of health professionals at those boxes. Ask questions. If you've got something going on, go ask your coach, see if they have any ideas. And if the coach and you can't strategize a way and improve some of the discomfort you're having, then you can go see a health professional. Nobody's going to stop you from doing the thing that you love. It's a health professional's goal to get you back and doing the things that you love to do. I tell every athlete that comes in the door that I'm not going to tell you not to run, and I'm not going to tell you not to do CrossFit. We're going to find something that you can do, and then we're going to work at getting you back there. And I think that's the most important thing, knowing that there's always a possibility to do it again.
And the great thing about CrossFit is it does expose weaknesses in your body that have been there probably for years, and you just had no idea. Like for myself, it was a lot of flexibility to get into overhead positions, as well as developing a really strong core. So I learned so much more about my body, and I became much more self-aware of what I needed to do to be safe in anything that I did, playing basketball, volleyball, you know, running down the street.
We're going to get more into nutrition, and we'll continue our CrossFit conversation in a few moments, but somebody who's